Well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. Thank you for being here today. I was thinking about this. I used to say it sometimes. I'm going to say it today. If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. And I just wanted to say that today. I want you to know that you are loved in this corner, in this part of the world, right here, you are loved. My name is Leslie Montgomery, and you are tuned into LKM Kingdom Living, Leslie's Lessons Learned. I want to say welcome to everybody. We can't do it without, we can do it, but it's much better if we do it with you. So we're glad that you're here today. Good morning, Michelle. I got to pull my mirror out, when I look in the mirror, and I begin to look. I no longer look at, you see, I got a bad hair day. It's okay. I'm not going to get caught up in that. Not today. But the fact of the matter that when I look in the mirror, I see an image. And whenever you look in the mirror, you see an image. You can see the image of the negative, the things that aren't right, or you can see an image of what you have been created, how you've been created, how beautiful you are. Do you know that you're beautiful? Do you know that when the Father created you, He said it's good? And in the process of saying it's good, He said, now, are you ready to go? And when we said yes, he put us in a suit and sent us here. So when you look in the mirror, I want you to know, don't just look in the mirror and say, and I know that Dr. Glenise will be talking to this aspect today. And I always say, if you're in the bed, if you're sitting on the side of the bed and you're wondering why is life worth living? I want you to know that life, yes, life is worth living, and that you do have a purpose here in life, and that you have to seek the Father for your purpose. And you got to look around those things that make you say, is life worth living? And here's the is life worth living. And when you look here, you see a whole room of life, and you have life, and you have life more abundantly if you allow Yahweh to lead you. So, as I said, good morning, and we have to say our statement. And our statement is, a life without me is like a world without colors. And I want you to remember that you are important and that you do matter. We've been talking about it all month, how much you matter, how much um, you got to do what you've called to do. Nobody else can do what you've been called to do. And yes, you have what it takes to do it. Why? It was in you before the foundation of the earth. When He thought about you, He created you, and everything you needed was in you. So the strength that you need, you got to pull up on that strength and come out and do what you need to do. So good morning to my dear, wonderful friends, and uh, Minister Wanda's in Cali, and it's like 6:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning there. I just appreciate her every Sunday being here, because she doesn't have to be here. She can say, look, I'm sleeping in. I'll see you next week. But she doesn't. She faithfully shows up. And I was thinking about the show. I hate to call it a show. Okay. I've been thinking about what we've been doing and how much has helped me, how much it's given me encourage, how much it's shown me that I have strength to go on. I can do what I've been called to do. So, and it made me continue to love myself. So if it hasn't helped anybody else, it's helped me. So I want to say good morning to the UK, London. Thank you for being in the house. I see you, Georgia, Jersey. I forgot where is, look, Michelle Grice, where is she from? I have to talk about her for a minute, because yesterday when we was in Sabbath and she started talking, I was like, well, are we on a radio broadcast? Because her voice just sounds so like You are listening to WWG, and we are here. The Grice family is here, Arkansas. Thank you so much for being here. So I was thinking about. I was actually laughing about it because at first I was like, "Wait, we on a radio broadcast?" Because that's just what she sounds like. And her statement was so profound for her and her family. But thank you all for being here, and those that have not said anything yet, we want to say thank you for being here. Shika, thank you so much for being here. And I want to say, Alfreda from Philadelphia, Shika's from South Africa. We're just glad that all of you have shown up today. And I want to say, just take a moment. If you did not hit that like sign, you did not subscribe, and you did not share, please take a moment and do that. Today's show is going to be on, do you grieve differently because you're a grief counselor? And we have a guest with us today, but before she comes forth, I want my girl, Minister Wanda. Let me be politically correct. I would like Minister Wanda to come forth and tell us a little bit about herself. I'm not going to be ghetto today. Okay, go ahead. I'm going to try not to be.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Now I don't know what to say. My name is Wanda Floyd. I am a licensed hair care professional. I've been licensed for 31 years and about to step from behind the chair and go into education full time. I am an instructor. I am a trainer. I'm an author, and I do some things in ministry. And I'm just so happy to be here and to be here with our guest, Miss Leslie.
Oh, yes, but you have some things going on. Well, I know you said that, but what about in ministry? What you got going on or about to take happen? It might be in April, but she has a phenomenal show, and I'm gonna let her tell about it. Just tell us about it.
I do have a show that stemmed from Have a Seat in My Chair Beauty Industry Talks with Wanda. I have a show that's called Let's Talk About It. And on that show, we talk about various topics. I have taken a break because I was trying to do some things with work and get some things finished with school. And so that show will actually be starting up back in April. Some of them will be pre recorded because we're getting ready to go into the season of Pesach. And,
Yeah.
but I'm so excited about it. It is usually airs every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which means on the East Coast it's about 9:30. But don't worry about it. There's always replays and you can catch it later. So
Thank you so much.
you're
And
welcome.
I will get look, but you see what Miss Sister Grice said? She was a former radio announcer. It's still in you. It's still in you. It's all in your voice. Good morning, Ashley. So glad everyone can join us today. Dr. Glenice, listen, we're on the other side. I met Dr. Glenice and Tierra Reed Destiny, right, community. And Dr. Glenice used to interview me. And now we're on the other side. I get to interview you. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Thank you, Leslie, and thank you, Minister Wanda. First, let me say this, Leslie, before I go into that. Congratulations on Leslie Lessons Learned. And I
Oh,
say
thank
that
you.
because, life is so full of lessons that we learn from. And I think that it's just awesome that you have this vision. So let me say that
Thank
first.
you.
And you're absolutely right. I feel like I'm in the hot seat. I feel like and I'm definitely on the other side of all of this. But I thank you both for allowing me to come on. I am a mental health professional. I'm the founder and CEO of Living Connected, where I help people to heal, grow, and find fulfillment in their lives, regardless of their life circumstances. I'm a certified mediator, speaker, author, and as you said, I have been a social media host for When Women Heal. And I've also been a co-host on an online radio station, WCG, some years ago. So I enjoy speaking to the world. I enjoy making my attempts through purpose to be that change maker and help people to see that there is purpose and there is purpose behind living, regardless of the mountains that we have to climb and the valleys that we have been in. So thank you guys so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I used to be a radio host back in the day myself, and a couple of times, but it's enjoy. I enjoyed it, and I was just thinking, I was like, oh yeah, I used to be a radio host too myself. Matter of fact, my daughter was just asking about me. I was like, yeah, you was about 2 years old then. Now she's about to be 40, so that was a long time ago. But just that it's well, it's just like being on here. That's what it is. It's just like being on here. So, Dr. Glenise, you were supposed to come on last year.
Right,
No, January. No, yeah, January.
right.
And at that time, you weren't ready, but you called me and you said, Leslie, I'm ready. And I said, I was going to make a space for you. And I'm so glad to know that you're back on the scene working. Um, working, back in ministry and doing what you've been called to do because you've had a long year. And I want you to talk about that year. We'll diverse and, uh, when I think about it and I think about the year and how we all were like, didn't know what was going to come out of it. But I know today that you're going to be very candid with what you've been through. And it's going to help a lot of people. It's going to set a lot of people free. So when I think about it, and I thought about this today, I thought about when, how I said, tell people if you're in the bed, if you're out of the bed, you know, it's going to be okay. You're going to make it. And I kind of want to start from there. But when I think about it, we have to start from the beginning of how this transition took place and all that. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and start telling us how things happen.
All right. So I think it's important that we first understand grief, before we even get into processes. And I work with individuals all the time, daily, help them to understand and navigate grief. Um, as humans, we all grieve differently, and we grieve differently due to our unique experiences and our beliefs and coping mechanisms. Some people have coping mechanisms and some people don't.
Right.
um, as one that work with individuals with grief, I see myself as one that helps support them through the grieving process by offering guidance and even validation, because you have to validate your feelings and your thoughts and your emotions, and try to help provide some coping strategies that will be tailored to each person's needs, because everybody needs something differently when they're going through this process. We have to understand that grief is natural and is multifaceted, emotionally, as an emotional response to loss or a significant change in life. Um, it can, as I said, include a range of emotions, thoughts, and behaviors that people experience when they face loss. It can be triggered by various events. It can be the death of a loved one. It can be a breakup. It can be loss of a job, significant life change. Maybe someone is moving to a new place. So there's different situations and circumstances that people encounter when grief shows up. And
Mhm.
then you kind of have to look at the stages of it. You have denial, where we just really can't believe that this has happened. We don't face the reality of the loss. And then you've got anger, where you're frustrated
Yeah,
and you hurt, you feeling some resentment.
that's right.
You've got bargaining, where you try to negotiate with the loss. You try to negotiate with God. Well, God, if this, I promise, I promise that, going through this, if you just get me out of this, if you just help me navigate this, and I'll do that, right? Then you have your depression, where you got sadness and hopelessness. And I'm going to talk about my own experience about that portion of it. And then you go into your fifth stage, which is acceptance. Do I ever get to a place where I really accept the reality of what I have and I'm encountering, right? So just to start getting into my own personal journey, yeah, I knew all these things.
Right.
I studied grief. I studied how do I help people with this process. So I had all of the academic part, right? But here I am, and I've had deaths in my family before. I had my parents and grandparents, aunts. I've had people that I had to navigate grief with. But let me tell you something. I had never experienced grief to this magnitude until I lost my husband. Les, I'm gonna do all I can to try not to
Look,
cry. I'm,
I
I'm,
got my little tissue right here myself.
I'm gonna try my best to get through this without a
You're gonna
tear.
get through. You're gonna get
Promise.
through.
I cannot promise.
You're gonna
Um,
get through.
you have you have to understand. I've only been on this side of my healing journey for 12 weeks. What
12,
you see today,
12 months, right?
no, 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 no.
Mhm. Oh, you're
On
talking
this
about the
side of
shift.
healing, where
Okay.
I'm able to,
Yeah.
um, I would not have been here 12 weeks ago,
Right.
right?
Right.
So where I am right now,
Okay.
I've only been here 12 weeks. Okay. So let's go back. My husband passed away, first of all, October 2022. For 5 years, he fought cancer. He did 65 rounds of chemo. But when he was first diagnosed in 2017, 2018, 2019 were very tough 3 years, especially 2019. He went down from 165. By the end of 2019, he was weighing 94 pounds. I got him into the cancer treatment center. They worked with him. He gained his weight back, and we thought we were getting ready to live life again. The pandemic hit. So, of course, because of the condition, we had to be very careful. All right. So, April 2022, I noticed him starting to lose weight again. And I'm like, you're losing weight again. Um, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. We had dealt with lung cancer, which was a primary site. When we found out it had already metastasized to the adrenal gland. So we had the lung, the adrenal gland, but that year 2019 that we lost with no treatment at all, well, really from 2017 to 2019, no treatment at all. He tried holistic treatment for a year in 2018, but we were losing time. He wasn't getting better. And so when we got him in the cancer treatment center, that's when the process started for healing. But anyway, fast forward April 2022, when they found out he had pancreatic cancer, we had dealt with we had dealt with lung, adrenal, but the year we lost, that 2019 we lost, it had gone to the brain, a spot on the brain, as well as the other lung. But
Wow.
when the cancer treatment center started working on him 2020, they were able to eliminate the cancer in the brain as well as one in the lung. Okay, so here we are, April 2022, we find out he's got it in his pancreas. And so with it being in the pancreas, April 2022, they tried radiation, but he was still doing chemo, but it didn't work. It didn't do anything. And so the process actually started. But because I saw him come back to life a couple of years prior, year prior, it was like, oh, he's going to get better. I had programmed my mind that he was going to come out of this and he would get better and we would go back to living our life. We had plans, all of this. All right. So fast forward, we get to October of 2022. Very horrific year. From around August, maybe, we were in and out of the hospital, in and out of the hospital. Although I had seen my parents go through every stage of cancer, I still had it in my mind that he was going to come out of this because I'd seen it before. So we get down to um, the week, the final week, right? I'm still believing. I'm still trusting. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for that day this change was going to come. October 8th, well, that Friday, October 7th, he was in the hospital bed and he reached for my hand to tell me that he loved me. And I'm like, okay, I love you too. He said, no, 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 you don't hear me. I love every part of your being. You've done this. So I went about my normal night to get him situated. That Saturday morning, October 8th, I got up and I got him um, situated as I had my everyday routine. I told him, I said, now I'm going to go to the store about 2 o'clock. I said, I'll be right back. I'm just going to pick up a couple of things. I'm coming right back. He shook his head. Okay. Between 12:30, after I got myself dressed, between 12:30, 1 o'clock, I was sitting on the couch next to his bed. And I saw his hand go up like a queen waving in a parade. His hand went up. He started like a wave. So I jumped up and I ran to him. I was like, "Are you okay? You know, something wrong?" He was like, "No." Um, the wave, I would never get it out of my mind. So I said, "Now don't forget, I'm going to the store. Now keep in mind, I'm still in the frame of mind that he's going to get better." I said, "Don't forget, I'm going to the store at 2 o'clock. I'll be right back." I said, "You want some chili?" And he nodded his head. I said, "Now, my nephew," I told him he would be here at 2 o'clock. He would stay with him while I ran to the store. My nephew got there at 2 o'clock. I left. I went to the store. The store is 5 minutes away from my house. I was in there 10 minutes at the most. I went in there to get two things. I came out. Wendy's is in the same parking lot. There was two cars in front of me. I stopped at Wendy's. I got the chili, came home. I know I was not gone. If I was gone 30 minutes, it was barely 30. So I get back home. I put everything down. I go to his bed and I called his name. I didn't get a response. I kind of moved him. I didn't get a response. I lifted up his eyelid. When I let it go, his eyes just closed back down. And I shook him and nothing. I kept calling his name. And I got no response. I told my nephew to call 911. Got 911 on the phone, and they walked me through CPR, which I was fine with that because I had just done that with him the week before. And I kept trying and I kept trying. And so my neighbor got there, my cousin got there. At some point, my daughter got there, and I did CPR until paramedics got there and they took over. They worked on him maybe 20, 30 minutes, could not get him back. And he was gone. Of course, that week I had so much company. But when everybody had to go back to their normal lives, and I totally understand. And I vowed I would not take my kids' lives from them. So that, of course, left me home alone. So now I get up one morning after all said and done, the funeral, the burial, all of this. One morning I get up and all of a sudden it hit me. And I said, God, it's for real. It's just me and you. My normalcy was gone. I didn't have a normal life anymore.
Right.
I didn't know day to day what I was going to do. I was used to being a caretaker. I had my routine. I had nothing to do.
Yeah.
Um, that was October. I had to face um, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, our anniversary, January 5th, Valentine's Day. And I'm like, how in the world am I going to get through all of this? That November, I spent part of it with my daughter. And then I got me a flat out and went to Fort Lauderdale to see my son. And I did the same thing Christmas.
Right.
New Year's, I was by myself. I did not know how to navigate this. I didn't know what to do. Yeah, I knew God, I knew scripture, I knew affirmation, I knew it all. But I was lost, right? People was calling, that people was offering help. What can I do? I didn't know what to tell them. Every time I would have to leave my house to go to the store. I mean, I remember specifically one day I had to go pick up my medicine, and I always picked it up where I would pick up his medicine. When I got to the pharmacist, he said, "You haven't been picking up your meds." It was for high blood pressure, and he said, "You got to take this." And when he said that, I broke. I lost it. I cried so hard, and he was like, "What's the matter?" And I told him, and he said, "You've got to live for you,"
Mhm.
right? I didn't process that. I left, I went home, and I found myself every day staying in the bed longer and longer periods of time. I would leave if I had to run to the store, I would come right back. It was like I would get anxiety being in public. Um, I retreated to isolation. Um, Family would ask, "You need anything? What can I do? You want to go do this?" I had a girlfriend that would text me prayers, that would call. You want to, it was a lot. It was so much. I didn't go anywhere. I went through this for 16 months. Like I said, I just came out 12 weeks ago. Um, I didn't know who I was. There was times that a week may go by and I had not even taken a bath. Um, People would call me on the phone. I couldn't talk. I would only cry. Only thing I knew to do was to cry. Every time somebody would call me and I said hello, floodgates open. Um, I didn't even know how to pray anymore. I couldn't even pray.
Yeah. So can I you said well, you said a few cute things, but I want to go back to the after when you're a caregiver and you no longer are a caregiver and you're out there and it's like your life does change and you're like, what do I do now? And you don't, it's like you're searching for life again because your life was tied up in that person. And it's so real. We can think about it, even divorce and how close divorce is to death, and how when you lose that person, and I'm not talking about through death, but I'm talking about through the divorce, you still have that same feeling. Now, you talked about, I just want to give you a moment. You talked about some of the steps that you go through with death,
Mhm.
and all of them are real. You go through um, the part of maybe you didn't, but I did. I was angry, and I was angry because I felt he was selfish. He left me, you know. And not only did he leave me, because my situation was so different than yours, but he left me, and I felt like he never gave me the best of it. So it made me angry that to me he was selfish. I think about the part where there's just so many aspects of it that you deal with. And if you've never really lost someone that's close to you, you don't understand. For you to stay in the house, and we would call you, you wouldn't answer. And sometimes I'm like, could you just let me know you're okay? And then once in a while you'll say, I'm okay. I'll call you soon or something like that. And that place right there is like being in a dark cave.
Yeah.
It's like being in a dark cave and you don't want to come out. You don't want to come out. Do, could you do you did you feel like maybe, well, I know we've had conversations. I know how you felt, but let me just ask this question. Do you feel like it when you feel that way of staying in the cave is because you can't see beyond where you are?
You can't. You have to think about, you're with the person that you get up with every morning. You're with the person that you go to sleep knowing they're there every night. And when you wake up, you look around, you're like, where am I? You know, um, Leslie, it's like you're so lost, right? That's the only way I can put it. I couldn't talk to anybody because I didn't know what to tell them, what I was going to do. I didn't have a next. Although people say, well, he was 6 for 5 years, you weren't prepared. No, I wasn't, because I left going to the store,
He was still alive.
and I carried that guilt. I carried the guilt of,
Mm,
um, if I had never gone to the store, would I have been able to save him like I did the week before I revived him, right? So it was like I, I felt so guilty,
mm,
for 16 months. And I had no plan for my life anymore. Yeah,
right.
I was doing so many things, Lisa. I was doing quite a few things, even
Yes.
when he was sick. I was a
Yeah.
full-time caretaker, but I
Right.
was still trying to keep my identity.
Trying to maintain.
Right. And when he passed away, I lost a sense of my identity. I didn't know how to encourage myself. I didn't have confidence. I never would have thought, when I look back over my life, I never would have thought this is what I would see today. 16 months ago, there's no way you could have told me I would have been sitting right here. And that's when we know, as caretakers, and we're no longer that caretaker, that's when we know it has to be God. God has got to intervene. I went to therapy, but it had to take me seeing God's hand in a situation that brought me out. And so now, 12 weeks later, but here's
Before you go there, I want you to what why do you think you lost your identity?
I think one of the things was that my husband, he would help encourage me. He would give me the Atta Girl Awards.
Right.
When I said I can't do this, yes, you can. You can do that. You strong. You a girl. You powerful. You can do this. And so I didn't have that voice,
Right.
and I had to rely on myself and on God. Although my kids, they would be like, "Mom, you're my shiro. Mom, you're smart. Mom, you're beautiful. Mom, you all this." I could not see the forest for the trees, and so I I just didn't know who I was. I knew somewhere in the back of my head what I used to be, but caretaker was one of my roles,
Right.
and that was part of my identity. And so, having lost that, I lost my identity.
So let me ask a question. You said I didn't know how to encourage myself. I didn't know how to pray for myself and some other things. Do you believe that could be because you didn't want to anymore?
I didn't have the will. I didn't have the will to live. I didn't have the strength to fight. I Everything was gone. I was hollow on the inside. Everything was gone. And so I remember Christmas, this past Christmas. Like I said, 2022, I went to my sons and daughters. But 2023, my son wanted to come home from Fort Lauderdale. And so I let him come home, which means that I wasn't, this would have been my 2023 was my first year, Thanksgiving and Christmas at home without my husband. So although I had company in the house, my mind was still running. And so I remember my cousins coming over Christmas
Because
and
you're still alone.
I'm still alone.
You're still
Um,
alone.
when they came over Christmas, let me tell you something. Makeup, what you see today, that's not what you saw 2023. Okay. Um, I remember them asking me Christmas, although people were in the house and they was like, what can we do for you? What can we do? And I'm like, nothing. My attitude at that time was this: December 2023, I did not care if I lived or died. I was not going to hurt myself. I knew that. I knew I did not want my children hurt. I wanted my children to be okay. Um, but at that point, my response was, I don't care if I live or die. I'm tired. I can't take no more. I can't take nothing else. That was that Monday, which was Christmas. Well, my son was here until that Thursday. My daughter would come over and everything, but she didn't live, she don't live with me. So I was still left alone. So here I am that Friday after Christmas. I get up, I'm by myself again. So what happens? I'm back in isolation. I'm back alone again, still crying.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have that will. I didn't have that determination. I didn't even have the courage. I had nothing left in me to fight with. Because keep in mind, we're talking 16 months. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have nothing to fight with.
So let me take a moment here. To those that have just joined us, I want to say thank you so much. I see Good Living on here. Boy, I'd love to have a conversation with you. So glad that you're here today. And everyone else that joined us, we are here with Dr. Glenise Harris Wilson, and she is a grief counselor, and she's telling us her experience as a grief counselor. Even though she was a grief counselor, how she had to go through the process herself. And that's one thing that we can't say what will be and do until we've gone through the process,
Right.
because you're talking about a whole journey. This is your journey of life before you transition into thinking life was worth living.
And Leslie, let me say this also. Before my husband passed, it was some months before he passed, I had written a book. It's on Amazon. It's okay to let your tears fall. Um, Tierra Destiny Reed Publishing Company published that book for me.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's okay to let your tears fall. I had written a book on all this stuff. I couldn't even read my own book. I
Well,
couldn't even do the work that's in the
The
book.
preparation that came with writing it.
and it's different when, even though this is something that you do regularly, and you can tell everybody and assist everybody else on what and how to do, when, where, but when it hits you, it's everything you know, everything that's normal to you, everything that would just bubble out of you has just dissipated and disappeared, and you don't know what to do. You don't even remember anything.
You don't remember.
You don't remember. And that's why I asked you that question, because I know you can get to a point where, like you said, you don't care. And I know that's how it was with my mom. When I lost my mom,
Mhm.
I didn't care about anything anymore, because the things that were important didn't matter anymore. She's gone. So, you know, And when I heard you say I couldn't encourage myself, I couldn't pray for myself, and like you said, I didn't even want to be here anymore, but I didn't want to hurt my children. But life really didn't even matter anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah, people have to understand that. Yeah.
It's hopelessness.
And
All hope is gone.
we don't know how to give ourselves grace.
Mm,
I could not validate my emotions to say it's okay to feel how you feel. Once again, the book says it's okay to let your tears fall. I didn't know how to validate my emotions. I didn't know how to validate my anger. I was angry with God because I'm like, I dreamed of wanting to be married. I dreamed of, this life, how it was supposed to have been lived through marriage, right? It was taken away from me. And I'm like, God, for real? I mean, you really, this is for real. And here's the thing. When my husband passed away, he passed away at home. when when they took him out to put him in the hearse, I was standing in the driveway, and when they pushed his body into that hearse and closed that door, I kissed him on the forehead, and they closed that door. As they went down my driveway and turned up my street, and I realized he was not coming back anymore, I watched them turn that corner. And you can kind of see through some houses as it went up the other street. When I realized he was never coming back again,
devastation.
I was devastated.
Devastation. Yeah.
And
Ooh,
reality probably set in right in that moment, but the pain, I didn't expect it. I just went to the store. I did not expect my Saturday to go like this, right? And so, fast forward to the change. Fast forward to when the when the light bulb came on, and when the new journeys, when the shift came, right? Remember Christmas, I didn't care, right? And getting ready to face New Year's, our wedding anniversary, January 5th, Valentine's coming, getting ready to face all of that. Here I am, New Year's, by myself again. I went down on my knees. I went before God. And I said, Lord, I cannot take this no more. I'm tired. I said, God, I don't know what you're going to do with me. I said, but I can't take this anymore. I said, I cannot have 2024 like I had the latter of 2022 and all of 2023. I said, God, I can't do this no more. I said, I don't know what you're going to do. I truly thought, honest to God, I truly thought it was going to be a physical death. I really did.
wow.
I got up off my knees, and this is what I heard. I heard him say, that was not your death, that was his.
Wow.
And I said, God, I
Real
still don't know
talk.
what you're going to do. Because I know I can't live. God, I cannot live. So I'm still thinking physical death. I didn't have no life. I didn't have no plan. There was not a next. So my next for me, I'm getting ready to leave here. I got up. I stayed in bed all day New Year's. I stayed in bed all January 2nd. January 3rd, 2024, my life changed. My life changed. I looked at my phone and I had a text from a friend. And me responding to the text from that friend, Leslie laughing, me responding to that text from a friend changed my life, changed my life, right? My life has not been the same since. The only thing I can say, the only thing I can say is trust God. Trust him. No matter how dark, no matter how much we allow ourselves, not in the physical, but how much mentally, emotionally, physically, even spiritually, that we die. Because I did.
Yeah.
Dead and all of that. God will come back and he will give you something in your life that will shift. Because here's the thing about purpose. When there is purpose, God is not going to let you leave here until your purpose is fulfilled. Right? That's number one. Number two, God knows us better than we know ourselves.
Well, that's what I was about to say. The plan that he had was not the plan you had. You thought you was going to die. And he said, oh, no, not in this lifetime. He said, in the land of the living, you shall remain. And with you remaining in the land of the living, still thinking your way, because it was
Mhm,
your way,
mhm.
he slips in underneath your thoughts. And he said, but it's going to be my way. And this is how we're going to do it.
And can I trust him? I felt that, you know, I had to trust him in the process. But, you know, the word says, um, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall feel no evil. Um, I didn't know what, because I was so angry, I didn't know what all, maybe something had come up against me. I didn't know, I wasn't thinking clear, right? But suddenly life changed.
A automatic shift. It was
Automatic
like
shift
day and night.
from January 1st when I prayed to January 3rd.
And so you know
Three
what
days.
happened? You know what happened? You finally gave in. He don't move until we finally give in.
It
And
reminded
you
me of the
said,
Trinity. It was the 3 days, right? He showed up. And here I am today. I feel good. I'm happy. I'm ready to face the world. I'm ready to step in any plan, gift, calling, whatever God got for me. I'm ready to walk that walk. I'm ready to live that life. I'm ready to talk that talk. I'm ready to share with other people. I'm ready to, I'm here's the thing. I feel, this is just me. I don't know what everybody else might feel, but I feel I'm so much better than I was. The difference is I'm able to take that experience and use it for my greater good. And I am so excited. I cannot disclose, but I am so excited for vision that God has already shown up and started his work,
well,
right?
last time I talked to her, she was talking about doing so much. I said, well, don't burn. I don't want you to burn yourself out now. Because she was like Superman. She was gonna
He keep on. Leslie, just yesterday, he gave me something else. I was on the phone with somebody. He gave something else yesterday. I feel like I'm, and I don't want to say this in a vain sense, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I feel bolder. I feel like I'm more courageous. I feel like I'm more confident. I feel like he has, because of the way he has blessed me. I'm trying so hard not to let the cat out the bag because of because of the blessing. Okay, um, he has expanded me. He has enhanced my life. He has enhanced who I am. He has expanded opportunity. He has expanded growth. And that's what you just never know why things happen the way it was. My business is called Living Connected. And that's what I do. I don't just do grief counseling. I do
Right.
premarital, I do couples, I do relationship.
She's a
Um,
pastoral counselor.
right, right.
Right.
So I do all kinds of counseling for chronic stress, anxiety, depression. But I just think that this is where he's just enlarged. Here you go. He's enlarged my territory, right?
Because
And
now you're
so,
doing it for real. You know what I'm saying? Now you're doing it for real. A lot of times we cannot. We think we're helping. We think we're doing exactly what we're supposed to do, but it's until you've experienced that thing that you can really help and change lives. You know, I can't tell you how to be financially successful if I've always been financially successful and you're poor. You know, I don't understand that. I have empathy for you, but I don't understand that. And now with you doing marriage and the other areas that you were experienced in that. You knew what that was like. And you could talk to them and help them from that place. But now, like you said, he's expanded you. So what you're giving is real. I'm not having empathy for you. I've experienced this. So I know what this is like for you. And so now he's saying, now you can really live. Now let's do this.
So let me ask you a question. What was the Oprah's book we did? The how many days? What it was? Was it 30? No, it was long, more than 30 days.
it
Where
was,
what happened to you? Was it? Was
yep.
it? Okay.
What
And
happened to you?
yeah, so different ones came on and would tell their story of what happened to them. I think about how the interesting thing is that you was the host of what happened to you.
Right, right.
So now you can kind of take that and extend it because now you know and you've gone through and you've experienced what happened to you.
I know what happened to me,
Yes,
right?
she can. She
I
can. Not
know what
kind
happened
of.
to me.
She can, Miss Leslie.
But and I'm so excited. I can't disclose a lot of it, but just get ready and be on the lookout because some amazing things is going to be coming out for widows and widowers. I can remember a time I couldn't even say I hated to hear that word widow. I couldn't even say it.
Mm.
I just could not say it. You know, I just recently, in the last maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, changed my profile to say widow on my Facebook page. I
Wow.
couldn't do it. I couldn't say the
That
word.
takes time.
It takes time. It's a
Yeah.
process. This thing is a process.
Yes.
And it's a step by step. First of all, God couldn't give me all he's giving me right now because I was a caretaker. God was like,
Right.
you can't even do this.
Exactly.
Plus, I had not had the full experience of it.
You
Now,
were
if you
in
come
it.
to me and you say you're a widow, we need to have a conversation. And I can have that conversation. So some things I personally feel you can go to school all day and in the morning. I did it. I sat in classroom after classroom after classroom. But when you get that real life practical experience,
Oh
there's
yeah.
a whole different. I am so passionate about the work that I do. It's from my heart.
Right.
People that I work with every day, even the people that it's not about grief, all the other people I work with, I do it from my heart
Yes.
because I have a number of stories to share. I
Mhm.
don't just have grief. I haven't been on this earth, and everything's been hunky-dory. I have I have experience from different angles. So
Yes.
I understand. And I meet people where they are because everybody have their own individual problems, individual issues, and individual experience. I cannot treat one client the same as I treat another. It's totally different. And
It
a lot of
is.
people think there's a structured way of helping somebody. You got to figure out that person's experience, what's their story, and try to change the narrative of that story.
Yeah, and we're almost at the top of the hour, and I know you have something you want to say, Wanda, to it. I thank you so much for being here. And there's a few. I think about this because you said something. You said that every story has a different narrative, and when you think about that, that means that your compassion you have for the other person is going to be different than you have for the next person. And as you get older, and I was thinking about this the other day, the older you get, the more stories you got. I remember when my grandparents or my uncle and them, I was like, they always got a story. You do because you experience so much in life that you end up with a lot of stories. But
But
I'm so happy that your story has ended on a good note because you was like, he ain't here, I can't make it, and I'm not trying.
and and still I rise.
And still you rise. Still you rise. And we appreciate so much. Wanda, you want to say something?
I just think about something you say all the time when we come on here. Life is worth living. It's worth living. And while it was a traumatic experience, Doctor, I'm so happy that you had it because Yahweh knew what was going to be birthed out of that experience. And now, like you said, my biggest takeaway from this is purpose and trust Yahweh through the process to get to the purpose.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for your story and
Yeah.
I'm grateful you're here and I'm
Thank
grateful that you're living life.
Thank you. He's done great things.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Thank you so much uh, for choosing to live. You know, one of the things I always talk about is if you're not here, that's one less flower. You are a beautiful flower, and
Thank
you
you.
are here for a purpose and a reason. And all that you've gone through was part of the purpose. There's a destiny.
Thank
There's a
you.
destiny.
Thank
And I want you to continue to be encouraged. Continue to go through your process.
you.
Don't rush the process, but go
Right.
through the process gracefully as you have been, and allow Yahweh to continue to do the work in you because that's what it is. Look, that song used to say something on the inside, working on the outside. Oh, what a change in my life. So I want you to not stop. I know you'll have moments.
Right. Absolutely. That's the
Yes,
reality of it.
yes, yes. And I want those to, there's some out there, because I was one of them, that you've lost your husband. I'm talking about husbands right now. And your husband wasn't the best. You still have, there's still the process that you go through. Though those process of grieving you still go through. And I'm a little different than Minister, what is it, Dr. Glenise. I wasn't sad he left until I started going through my grief process. It was like, give me a drink, hip, hip, hooray. So, but I was different. But the reason why I'm saying that is because her story is different from mine. Her life was intertwined with her husband. So, because her life was intertwined, it made it harder for her to break away from the chain, or not the chain, the bond. It was the bond of love that you two had. And you had to break away. And the way, because you was like, he gonna live, he gonna make it. The process it you had to go, you had to go alone because you never put in your thought pattern that he might not make it.
And you have to think about it, Leslie. Life changed. I didn't have to cook. Even cooking changed.
Yeah,
Riding in the car changed. I'm by myself every time I
right.
go. Everything changed.
Everything changes.
Had to
And
eat
what do you
alone. Every meal you eating alone. I couldn't take it. I just could not take it.
Yeah. But if you think about it, what do you do in those places that you're alone? And Dr.
Right.
Glenise was here today to let us know there is hope. And now, probably when she sits down at the table and eat, she doesn't feel that same pain of eating alone because she's had a shift. Now that's just me. You, if you do, you can say, Leslie, I still do.
Yeah, listen, that eating alone is kind of hard for me. I don't handle that part. I don't handle well.
But yeah, everybody handles it differently, like you said. Listen, her description, her email is in the description. Please, if you need to reach out to her, I don't know your process. You want to tell them your process when they reach out to you, or
Yeah, they can email me at dr for Dr. Glenise Harris Wilson, GLENISE Harris Wilson at gmail.com. Or they can also call me, Leslie. My number is 770-310-1880.
let me put it in here, and then we're gonna. And tell me that what's the phone number again? 77.
770-310-1880.
Okay, and here you have it. So you have, if you go in the description, you see um, her email address, and here's her phone number. She's willing to speak to you. I don't know the process. What do you have minutes or how?
By sessions, I schedule by sessions.
Okay, all right. So thank you everyone for being here today. Listen, if you have not hit that like sign, if you have not shared, and if you have not subscribed, please do so before we end here today. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. It was a pleasure having you, Dr. Glenise, and
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad life is different for you
Yeah.
now. And now what do we say? Life without me is like a world without color. That color still lives on in you. And we're so
Thank
glad that you
Yeah.
made that choice
Yeah.
because it was a choice. And until we see you again, we want to say thank you so much for being here and have a wonderful day.
Thank you guys so much. See you soon.
Shalom.
Shalom.